words about our university and about the world and constitutional state in English. First of all, I would like to thank the Department of the Mediterranean Legal and Economic System for inviting us to Italy. So I am representative, as he mentioned, now of the Tbilisi State University. Tbilisi, the capital city of Republic of Georgia. And this university has been founded at the end of the First World War in 1980. It was first state university in our country and in the whole region in South Caucasus, which has about 22,000 students with 7 faculties and several research institutes and departments. So it is main important place to become full higher education in our country, in Georgia. I'm Irakli Burduli, I'm professor of the Tbilisi State University, and at the same time I'm dean of the Faculty of Law, which has about approximately 5,000 students with several bachelor, master and PhD programs in Georgian language, in German and in English as well. We have several cooperations with European research and educational institutions. So the most of them are German institutions, German university, and this is our first time to have such kind of institutional collaboration with the University of with the University of Bari, and I have to mention that it is my first time in the south part of Italy. So I was student in Austria, and I had a very good possibility to be a north part of Italy, and I would like to say that it is a very beautiful city, Bari and Toronto, and as I know, as I research the information, it is historical point of view, it is very important city during the Second World War. So let me say to give you a little bit information about the war and constitutional state. So it is the view of the professor of law according to war. Generally, war is the greatest tragedy and misfortune, which is just a spot of shame for the whole history of the mankind. The best prevention of it is the formation of a democratic state, which can be explained as the best mechanisms against war and all of its aspects. Any kind of war results is always fatal to each combating party, and I believe it has no sense how long the war lasts several years, like during the Second World War, or several days, like in Russian-Georgian War of August 2008. It is vital to establish global security in involving all civilized nations to neutralize all provocative factors of a war to the maximal extent. All countries shall fully become the part of a civilized world society, which is only possible through and by means of foundation of the constitutional statehood. This is especially essential for developing country being in the transformation process. Therefore, this is very much significant for country I represent, for Republic of Georgia, because our country is a part of the cultural world society. We all know that we are a country in transition, which is in the process of creation and development of democratic institutions. And this is very important, necessary background to create sustainable constitutional state, which is a big challenge against global threats likewise. The main objective of a constitutional state is guaranteeing the freedom of the whole society and for all of its members. This gives the possibility possibility for the freedom to develop in several directions. The protection of fundamental human rights and freedoms is a basic function of any democratic state. In order to guarantee this freedom, it is very important and necessary to establish social peace and, of course, global security. The rule of law and legal certainty is impossible without individual, personal and collective freedom. So consequently, the primary goal for any democratic and constitutional country based on justice and integrity is keeping the balance between those two values. I'm, as I mentioned, university professor of the Tbilisi State University, and one of the small little integral elements of the educational system and process in my country. For me as an individual who is responsible for educating the young generation, this is absolutely important to form an educated society in the context of the global security network improvement. The educated society builds the democratic constitutional state and research historical examples to exclude world catastrophes and tragedies. An educated society is a cultural society, and justice can only be absorbed in a cultural society. This very cultural society guarantees the realization of fundamental human rights and freedoms. Law can function and be enforced only in the cultural society. Unculturally formed and uncivilized society causes the injustice, which is absolutely and obviously evidenced by different types of war.